What's going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday to everyone. Climate Data Report here with the latest on Hurricane Lee for Wednesday, September 6, 2023. It is Wednesday evening. As of the 5 p.m. update, Hurricane Lee has now strengthened into a hurricane. We're going to give you the latest numbers, the latest data from the models, and the latest expected track on this hurricane. The Hurricane Center says Lee strengthens into a hurricane, likely to intensify into an extremely dangerous major hurricane by early Saturday. As of 5 p.m., it's moving west-northwest at 14 miles per hour. Its minimum pressure is down to 991 millibars, and the maximum sustained winds are 75 miles per hour. One thing that we're really going to be watching with the storm is the minimum pressure. It really has a chance to get well into the low 900s. I mean, this is something that's going to be rather impressive. I mean, we could see it get down into the 930s, maybe even the 920s. The potential is there because the waters are relatively warm at this time and the wind shear is going to be low. The Hurricane Center has it continuing west-northwest, and by 2 a.m. on Saturday, it is expected to become a major hurricane. And then by 2 p.m. Monday, it's going to be well north of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, you're not going to get a hit. You're not even in the cone of uncertainty. And it's going to be well north of the Leeward Islands. Right now, it's about 1,000 miles east of the Leeward Islands. And taking a look here, you can see by 2 p.m. Monday, it's going to be a major hurricane. Could be a Category 4, maybe even a Category 5. There's a chance that it could hit a Category 5. Taking a look here at satellite or infrared satellite, and you can see here, you got an impressive spin and you got an impressive flare-up of thunderstorms around the center of this system. It's already starting to strengthen pretty quickly. Taking a look at the latest tracks here from the hurricane guidance, you can see it continues northwest, but then we have to watch. You can see it right here at the end of the hurricane models. It does start to take a bit of a turn northward. The question that remains, this is the million-dollar question that everybody has, how fast is it going to make that turn? The sooner it turns, the more likely is that it would stay more east. The longer it takes to make that turn, the more likelihood it could stay west, but there's also a couple more pieces to the puzzle. We'll get to that in a moment. Taking a look here at intensity. There's several models that take this into a Category 4. These are tropical models. Several of them go to a Category 4, and there are a couple that go up to a 5. A 5 is not off the table. Right now, the Hurricane Center is going with a Category 4. And like I said, we're really going to have to watch the pressure with Lee. I think we could see some fairly impressive stuff come out of the storm. All right, let's take a look at the GFS here. Here's the GFS. You can see it tracks west. And look what happens here. Storm gets pretty strong on the GFS. Gets down into the upper 930s. This is on 18Z Monday. And watch this. It continues west-northwest at that frame. But as we get beyond next Tuesday and Wednesday, it starts to make that turn northward. You can see here. And it does pick up speed. But there's something to take note with the GFS. A couple things. Number one, if we go backwards with the GFS, look what's happened. The storm is trending slower. Number two, we need to watch the 500 millibar pattern. Look at this system that's over the Great Lakes of the United States. Let's go back to the previous run. Oh, hello. No closed off low. Let's go back another run. There it is, but it's much more east, and, well, then we go to even further. See, GFS has no consistency with the 500 millibar pattern. This is the pattern in the upper levels of the atmosphere that, like dictates the driving where this storm's going to go. When you have a 500 millibar low like this, very strong, like what the GFS has, watch what happens. It does try to steer it more north, but then it does also help to turn it more east. Places like Nova Scotia, look at the GFS here. That's pretty close to a hit, but it misses the U.S. But again, here's the problem with the GFS. Each run is changing at the 500 millibar level. Let's switch models. Let's go now over to the European model. We want the 12Z run, and I'll show you what the European does. And here's the European. European continues west, northwest. Pressure gets fairly impressive on this model as well. It actually gets into the 920s, which that would be very impressive. And then look what happens. It's moving northwest. It does get relatively close to the U.S., but the one thing that is similar between the GFS and the European is that it misses Bermuda. Right now, I'm leaning towards this is not going to be a hit for Bermuda. Your percent chance, it's not zero, but it's lower than it was yesterday. And this is something we have to watch. Now let's go over to the ensembles. I'll show you the European ensemble and the GFS ensemble. And I'll show you what happens here with the ensembles. You can see here. Right here is Bermuda. And yes, there are some European ensemble members that do hit Bermuda. I mean, look at this. The European ensemble's actually pretty far east. Do we agree with that? I think it may be a little bit too far east, but it's not something that we can't just say, toss in the trash. Something we take note of. So there is still a small chance that, yes, this could still hit Bermuda. But now when we take a look at the GFS ensembles, here we go, GEFS. Let's reverse this, and look at this. GEFS is way west of the EPS. I mean, it made a significant shift west from its 12Z run. Look at that. It actually shows New England taking some impact. Let's take a look at moisture here. Look at that. You can actually see this is a pretty big, the main itself, showing a pretty big impact for New England. Am I told that's going to happen? Not just yet. And let's take a look at one more piece of data. Let's show you now. This would be the Canadian ensemble, since we might as well just show you everything. Here's the Canadian ensemble. Watch what happens. The Canadian ensemble misses Bermuda. You can see a couple members do hit it, but it misses it in between. And I think that's what's most likely to happen. A track somewhere in between Bermuda and the U.S. What happens north of Bermuda remains to be seen, and a lot of this still depends on this north turn. So at this point, these are just preliminary percents that I'm putting out there. I'm putting that there's a 30% chance of a hit for the United States, 70% chance that it either goes out to sea or impacts eastern Canada, like Nova Scotia or even Newfoundland, any of those areas. And at this point, so again, repeating, I'm giving it a 30% chance that the U.S. would get a hit, and that would be relatively north of the Mid-Atlantic in New England. And really, we just have to pay attention. I could revise that lower tomorrow. I could up that tomorrow. We just need to watch what the models do. And basically, again, the big question is, where does this north turn happen? We'll be watching the tropical models. They are going to be key. The tropical models with Idalia, I'll show them to you again. Here's tropical models. These models right here, the spaghetti plots, were relatively accurate with Idalia. And you can see, with the track that they're showing here, with the turn that they're starting to show, they would probably be west of Bermuda, which is another key factor. I know the EPS was showing it could go over Bermuda. I think it's going to shift west. I think we're going to see the EPS shift west because these tropical models, based on where they're turning, the majority of them, not all of them, but the majority of them would probably miss Bermuda and track in between Bermuda and the United States. And obviously, we don't know what would happen beyond that frame. One final thing I want to show you, and this is just me being scientific here. I want to show you HAFSA. This is one of the hurricane models. Watch what it does with the pressure of this storm. This is really interesting. It takes it down to the low 920s and even the low 900s. There's a potential this could happen. Oftentimes, global models are too weak on the pressures with these hurricanes. So we'll have to watch this. I mean, even if this ends up hitting no one, which we don't know that's going to happen yet, but the one thing we do know that is going to happen, as it comes northward, it's going to hit a cool pool of water from leftover from Franklin, and that is going to weaken the storm. So that is a saving grace, but beforehand, it's going to be very interesting to see how low the pressure goes with this system. I mean, 917 millibars, that is a monster hurricane. I mean, that's Category 5. And as you know, the scale doesn't go any higher than Category 5, but we'll have to see. I'm not 100% sold it hits Cat 5 yet, but there is a chance. And right now, we're going with the Hurricane Center, which says, hey, this is going to hit a Category 4. Alrighty, guys, we'll have another update on Hurricane Lee tomorrow. We'll have a better sense on what is going, hopefully have somewhat of a better sense on where this north turn is going to be, whether there's maybe a trend southwest or a trend to the east. But right now, to recap, I'm giving it a 30% chance of some sort of an impact in the northeast U.S. and a 70% chance at out to sea, with possibly some of that being maybe some sort of a hit for Nova Scotia or Newfoundland. Alrighty guys, I will see you all again tomorrow. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. And if you know anyone that would enjoy this type of content, by all means share this with them. Have a great evening, everyone.